Welcome back to Mia Horror Stories. Tonight's tale: every night at 2:14 a.m., something knocks from inside the walls, is best experienced in the dark, which is why the screen will stay black. No distractions, no flashing images, just you, your imagination, and the story. So sit back, relax, and listen all the way to the end if you dare. At 2:13 a.m., the apartment makes its usual noises. The refrigerator gives a soft, tired click. Somewhere in the building, water starts in a pipe and then stops, someone turning a faucet on and off, half asleep. The heat kicks on with a faint metallic tick that always makes me think of a spoon tapping a glass. I'm awake for none of it on purpose. I'm awake because my phone buzzes against the nightstand and slides a half inch, the cheap case squeaking on the wood like a mouse. The screen lights the ceiling a weak aquarium blue. Low battery, and then the time, blunt and bright. 2:13. I roll over and reach for the charger by memory. My fingers graze dust bunnies and the edge of the nightstand. No cable. I've done that thing again where I unplug it in the morning to take to the couch. Swear I'll put it back, then forget. There's a smell in the room: warm cotton, a trace of detergent, and that faint old building scent that never quite leaves even when you mop. Plaster, paint, and something a little sour, like damp cardboard. I blink and stare toward the window, where the streetlight outside turns the blinds into stripes. That's when the sound comes. Not loud, not dramatic, not the kind of crash that makes you sit straight up. Just 3 knocks, measured, almost polite, like someone testing wood, like knuckles on a door. Except it isn't from the hallway. It's from inside the wall, behind my headboard. I lie still, waiting for my brain to label it properly: pipe expansion, neighbor's cabinet, someone dropping a shampoo bottle in the shower. I've lived in enough old places to know the building talks. I can explain most of what it says, but this is too placed, too close. The knocks feel like they're trying to locate something, like they're checking for hollow spots. I press my palm against the drywall. It's cool, smooth, no vibration. I hold my breath just to listen better. The building gives me nothing else. No follow-up, no scrape, no shuffle, no laugh, just the soft wheeze of the heat. My brain tries to ease back down into sleep. Then my phone buzzes again. Another warning. Another little vibration that feels personal now. And when I look at the screen, the time has flipped. 2:14. A longer series of knocks answers it. Not a bang, not frantic. A pattern that makes my throat tighten because it's too organized to be an accident. Knock, knock, pause, knock, pause, knock, knock, knock. It takes me an embarrassing second to realize I'm counting. Okay, I whisper, as if saying it quietly will make it less true. Okay, sure. I'm already sliding out of bed, careful not to wake my partner. The mattress creaks anyway, because everything in this apartment creaks. The bed frame, the floorboards, even the closet door if you breathe at it wrong. I step onto the cold strip of hardwood between the bed and the rug, and the chill goes straight through the soles of my feet. I'm not scared in a movie way. I'm annoyed first, the way you are when something interrupts a fragile little bubble of rest. I'm also if I'm honest, relieved it's a sound I can point to. A definite thing. You can deal with definite things. You can call someone. You can take a video. You can Google it and find a forum full of people saying same. It's the indefinite stuff I can't handle. The hum you can't locate. The smell no one else notices. The feeling that you've forgotten something important and you don't know what. I walk to the living room in my socks, because if I go barefoot, I'll step on that one staple I can never find. The hallway is a narrow tube of dark with one dim bulb in the kitchen that always flickers before it warms up. The air changes in the living room, it's cooler, and it smells faintly of the takeout we didn't finish, garlic and oil soaked into cardboard. The knocks don't follow me. That should make me feel better, but it doesn't. It's like a person stopping when you walk into the room. I stand by the thermostat for a moment, staring at the little digital numbers like they're going to explain it. The fan is set to auto. The heat is on. The temperature is the same it was when we went to bed. Nothing helpful. I pull my phone up again, screen brightness turned down so it doesn't hurt. The battery is at 4%. I get a bar of weak Wi-Fi. I could wake Lauren. I could tell her, hey, there were knocks. But not hallway knocks, wall knocks, and watch her go through that face she makes where she's trying to decide if I'm being reasonable or if I'm spiraling again. That's not fair. Lauren doesn't call it spiraling. She calls it getting in your head. She says it gently, the way she says you forgot your keys or you left the stove on low. Maybe I call it spiraling because my mother used that word like a threat. I rub my face and try to reset myself with practicalities. Old building, Boston, February, heat cycling, pipes, neighbors. The apartment is on the 3rd floor of a narrow brick building in Jamaica Plain, on a street where people put bikes in their living rooms and argue politely about compost bins. We moved in 4 months ago, and it's been mostly fine. Thin walls, a radiator that hisses like a cat, a landlord who texts in emojis. The only real thing that's been off is how much the place holds sound. Not loud sound, just sound that feels too intimate. You hear your upstairs neighbors laugh, not the words, just the laugh. You hear someone's alarm through the floor like an insect trapped under glass. You hear the guy next door's blender at 7 in the morning and know, without wanting to, that he's a smoothie person. I'm standing in the living room when the bedroom door opens behind me. Evan, Lauren's voice is thick with sleep, not alarmed. She's the kind of person who wakes like a human being, not like a prey animal. I turn. Lauren Finch, 31, female, steps into the hall in one of my old t-shirts and pajama shorts. Hair pulled into a messy knot that makes her look younger, until you see the tired lines at the corners of her eyes. She rubs her forehead with the heel of her hand and squints at the kitchen clock like it's personally offended her. "What are you doing?" she asks. "Is it morning?" No, I keep my voice low. "Sorry, my phone buzzed, low battery." And you couldn't just ignore it. I half smile because she's right. I was trying to find the charger. She comes closer, and I can feel her mind catching on the part I didn't say. "You're awake. I hesitate, and in that hesitation, is my flaw, plain as a stain. I don't like to tell people when something bothers me until it's already gotten big enough to embarrass me. I'll swallow a pebble and then act surprised when it becomes a boulder. There was a sound, I say finally. Lauren's face changes, not to fear, but to attention. She's a clinician. She hears things for a living. Not sounds, but details in people's voices. What kind of sound? Knocking. From where? I point without thinking, back toward the bedroom, toward the wall behind the headboard. She stands very still, listening, like the sound might politely repeat itself for her because she asked. Nothing. Lauren exhales through her nose. Okay, she says, which is her version of staying calm. Could be the heat. It didn't sound like the heat. What did it sound like? I imitated softly, tapping the side of my thigh. The rhythm feels wrong doing it in the open air. In the bedroom, it had weight. Lauren watches my hand, then looks toward the ceiling, as if to measure where the upstairs neighbor's bed might be. Could be someone upstairs bumping something against a wall. Behind our headboard, I hear myself, and the edge in my voice makes me hate my own tone. Lauren raises her eyebrows a little, not judgment. A question. Do you want me to take this seriously? Yes, no, maybe. I know, I say quickly. It's probably nothing. It's just, it was right there. She comes to me and touches my arm. Her hand is warm, steady. Do you want to go back to bed? I open my mouth to say yes. And then, from somewhere deeper in the apartment lower, closer to the floor, comes a single knock. Not from the bedroom wall this time. From the living room side wall, the one shared with the next unit. Just one. A test. Lauren's hand tightens on my arm. She didn't jump. She didn't gasp. But her eyes sharpened in a way that tells me she heard exactly what I heard. We look at each other, and in that look, there's a choice forming. A fork, two reasonable paths. We can do the normal thing. Chalk it up to building noise. Turn on the fan for white sound. Go back to bed. And let morning soften it into a story we tell with a laugh over coffee. Or we can do the other thing, still reasonable, still explainable, but heavier with consequence. We can make it a thing. Turn on lights. Pay attention. Knock back. Text the landlord. Go into the hallway and listen. Decide we're not imagining it. Lauren's mouth opens as if she's going to speak, then closes. She glances toward the front door, toward the peephole, the chain lock, the deadbolt. I can feel my heartbeat, not fast, just loud in my own ears. Evan, she says quietly, what do you want to do? And the apartment, as if waiting for our answer, holds perfectly still. The knock comes again at 2:14 on the dot the next night. And this time we're ready for it in the way people are ready for things they don't understand. Badly. We're sitting on the couch with the lights on, a mug of cooling chamomile between us that neither of us has touched. The TV is muted. My phone is plugged in now, finally, stretched awkwardly from the wall like it's on a leash. Lauren has her laptop open on her knees, not searching for answers so much as anchoring herself to something normal. Email, a grocery list, anything. The apartment smells faintly of lemon cleaner because we scrubbed the kitchen after dinner. as if cleanliness might count as control. The first knock lands low and close from the wall behind the TV. A single, careful tap. Lauren looks at me, then at the clock on the stove. 2:14 glows green. Okay, she says. Okay, that's consistent. 3 more knocks follow, spaced like before. Not loud enough to carry to the neighbors, probably. Loud enough to make the picture frames buzz slightly. Just enough that I notice, because I'm already watching them. I start recording on my phone. My hand shakes more than I want it to. Could be pipes, I say, because saying it out loud feels like keeping a promise to yesterday's version of myself. Lauren doesn't answer. She leans forward and presses her ear to the wall, palm flat against the paint. She closes her eyes, listening not just to the sound, but to the space around it, the absence that follows. When she straightens, there's a crease between her eyebrows I've only seen a handful of times. Usually at work stories, she can't talk about in detail. That's not heat, she says. That's contact. My stomach drops in a slow, unhelpful way. Another knock, closer to the floor this time. I crouch and put my ear near the baseboard. The wall smells like dust and old wood. I can hear something else now under the knock. A faint scrape, like fabric brushing against something rough. Someone in the wall, I say, before I can stop myself. Lauren's jaw tightens. Evan. I know how that sounds. She holds up a hand, not to stop me, but to pause the spiral. If someone were in the wall, we'd hear more movement, breathing. As if on cue, there's a soft exhale, so faint it could be air shifting, or me wanting it to be. Lauren swallows. Okay, she says again, less steady this time. So we need to figure out what this is, now. The clock ticks to 2:15. The knocking stops. The silence afterward isn't dramatic. It's just empty. The normal apartment sounds seep back in like water. The refrigerator, a distant car, someone laughing on the street. Life continuing with rude confidence. That's it, I ask. For now, Lauren says. She closes her laptop. We can't ignore this. My phone buzzes in my hand. A text from an unknown number. Property manager. Hi, Evan, sorry to text so late. Any chance you're awake? Lauren sees my face change. Who is that? Mark, the landlord. Another message pops up before I can answer. Property manager. Got a weird alert from the building system. Moisture sensor tripped in the south wall of your unit. Have you noticed anything? Lauren exhales sharply. Moisture. I type back with my thumb, suddenly clumsy. We're awake. There's knocking in the walls. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Property manager, knocking. The south wall. That's the living room wall. The one we're sitting against. Okay, Lauren says, already standing. If there's moisture, that's a problem. Water doesn't wait. This is where my flaw gets teeth. Because the truth is, I hate maintenance issues. I hate being the person who complains, who escalates, who makes a fuss. I've lived in enough places where being easy felt like survival. Don't be the tenant they remember. But the image in my head now isn't about being liked. It's about water traveling invisibly, soaking insulation, rotting studs, turning walls into traps. It's about the news stories where ceilings give way without warning. What if it's a pipe, I say. What if it bursts? Lauren nods. Exactly. We grab shoes, jackets. Lauren snaps on the flashlight on her phone. I text, mark our unit number again, more firmly this time. Evan, there's a repeated knocking sound at 2:14 a.m. coming from the wall. And now a scrape. Please advise. We step into the hallway. The air is cooler out here, and it smells faintly of paint and old carpet. The lights hum overhead. It's quiet in the way apartment buildings are quiet at night, not silent, but private. Lauren knocks on the neighbor's door, the one we share the wall with. Nothing. She knocks again, harder. Hi, sorry, it's your neighbor. We're having a building issue. A light flicks on behind the peephole. After a moment, the door opens a cautious inch. Miguel Alvarez, 27, male, peers out, hair sticking up, eyes bloodshot with sleep. He's wearing gym shorts and a hoodie that says something about a marathon. What's up? He asks, not unfriendly, just exhausted. Sorry, Lauren says. Have you heard any knocking or had any leaks? Miguel frowns. I heard something last night. Thought it was the heat. No leaks though. Behind him, I notice his living room wall. The same wall as ours. There's a damp, darker patch near the baseboard, like a shadow that didn't get the memo about the lights. You might want to check that, I say, pointing. Miguel turns. What the? His foot slides a little when he steps closer. He looks down. That's wet. Lauren's phone buzzes. Mark again. Property manager. On my way. ETA 15. If there's water, shut off the unit valve under your sink now. Lauren and I look at each other. The unit valve is in the cabinet under the kitchen sink. Behind the cleaning supplies we never organize properly. We run back into our apartment. The knock doesn't come again, but the scrape does, faint and continuous now, like something dragging slowly along the inside of the wall. I drop to my knees and yank open the cabinet. Bottles clatter. I twist the valve clockwise. It resists, then gives with a squeal that makes my teeth hurt. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the sound changes. A groan travels through the wall, low and stressed, like a building clearing its throat. The scrape turns into a rush. Water. Definitely water. Evan, Lauren says sharply. The wall. A dark line is blooming along the baseboard now, creeping outward like ink on paper. It reaches the rug and soaks in, spreading fast. This isn't just our unit, I say stupidly. Another text from Mark, urgent now. Property manager. Fire department is en route as precaution. Do not open walls. Evacuate if water increases. Fire department. Evacuate. Words that pull the situation out of the abstract and drop it squarely into consequence. From the hallway, someone shouts. A door slams. A dog barks. And then, distinct over the sound of rushing water, there's a knock from inside the wall again. Only this time, it's frantic. Lauren grabs my arm, hard enough to hurt. That's not pipes, she says. That's someone signaling. My heart starts racing properly now, finally catching up. Fire department's coming, I say. We shouldn't. The knock comes again, faster, closer, right where the wall is already darkening, softening. If someone is trapped in there, if this is a maintenance worker or a squatter or someone who made a bad decision and is now drowning between studs, the wall bulges just a little, a subtle give like wet cardboard. Lauren looks at me, eyes bright and terrified and determined. Evan, if we wait. Sirens bloom in the distance, still far, too far. The wall gives another inch, and the knock turns into pounding. Evan, don't. Lauren says it as the wall shudders again, the baseboard bowing outward like it's trying to breathe. Water beads through the paint in tiny dark freckles. The pounding is fast now, panicked, off rhythm. I'm not going to tear it open, I say, even as my hands move toward the coat closet. I just want to see. The geography of the apartment snaps into sharp focus in my head, like a floor plan drawn in fear. Living room on the south wall, shared with Miguel. Kitchen to the right, plumbing stacked there. Bedroom behind us. Hallway to the left, leading to the stairs. Front door dead ahead. The sound is coming from the lower third of the living room wall, about 3 feet from the corner where the TV stand sits. I grab the flashlight from the junk drawer, the one we use for blackouts, and kneel, angling the beam along the baseboard. The drywall is swollen, soft. The light catches a hairline crack I swear wasn't there before. Another pound. The wall flexes inward this time. Fire department said don't open walls, Lauren says, voice tight. She's standing back by the door, shoes on, jacket half-zipped. Ready to leave. Ready to be safe. I know, I say. I know. I press my ear close. The smell hits me first, wet insulation, metallic and sour. Under it, something human, sweat maybe. Breath. Hello, I say, louder than I mean to. Can you hear me? The pounding stops. For a half second, my brain tries to convince me that's worse. Then a voice comes through the wall. Muffled, hoarse. Help. Lauren makes a sound I've never heard from her before, half gasp, half curse. She rushes forward and crouches beside me. Who is that? She asks the wall, steady, professional. Can you tell us your name? There's a pause. Water trickles audibly now, a thin stream running somewhere inside the wall cavity. Caleb, the voice says. I'm stuck. My heart is trying to climb out of my throat. How are you in there? I ask. I was checking a leak, Caleb says. The access panel jammed. I can't, there's water. A crash interrupts him. Not from the wall, from the hallway. Lauren looks up sharply. That wasn't us. I stand, adrenaline making my knees weak. We open the front door crack. The hallway is chaos now. 2 doors open down the hall. Miguel is barefoot, holding his phone out like it's a weapon. Water is creeping along the carpet seam, darkening it. I heard yelling, he says, and then something fell. Another neighbor, Janice, mid-50s, female, hair in rollers, leans out her door. Is there a flood? Pipe burst, I say. Fire department on the way. As if summoned, a low groan reverberates through the building. The floor vibrates. For one terrible second, it sounds like the building itself is giving up. Janice yelps and slams her door. The groan resolves into a rush, water pressure shifting, as something gives elsewhere. Not collapse, rerouting, misdirection. My brain latches onto that relief like a life raft. Lauren pulls me back inside and shuts the door. Focus, she says. We have a person in the wall. Attempt 1. Call it improperly. She dials 911, speakerphone on, kneeling by the wall so Caleb can hear. The operator's voice is calm, practiced. We have units en route, the operator says. Do not attempt rescue yourself. Is the individual conscious? Yes, Lauren says. He's trapped in the wall cavity of a residential building with active water intrusion. Okay, stay with him verbally if you can. Lauren does. She asks Caleb to keep talking to conserve movement. He's coughing now, wet and shallow. I can't feel my left arm, he says. I glance at the wall. The bulge is worse. The baseboard has pulled away entirely in one spot, nails exposed like teeth. Attempt 2, reduce the water further. Mark said unit valve, I say. But if it's coming from above, I'll go upstairs, Miguel says suddenly from the open doorway. I'll see if anyone's home before I can stop him. He's gone, feet slapping on wet carpet toward the stairs. Lauren looks at me. If this wall fails, I know. I grab towels, shove them against the baseboard, useless but instinctive. The water soaks through immediately. Caleb screams. It's sharp, sudden, and it makes everything in my body lock. What happened? Lauren demands. The wall moved, he gasps. I slipped. There's wiring, sparks. A flash lights the crack in the wall, bright and violent. Lauren yells and scrambles back. The smell of burning plastic fills the room. Okay, I say too loud. Okay, that's electrical, that's. The lights flicker, once, twice. Then they go out. Darkness swallows the apartment, broken only by the flashlight beam shaking in my hand, and the green glow of exit signs bleeding through the hallway door. Caleb is breathing hard now, panicking. It's dark in here, it's dark. I know, Lauren says, voice fierce. Listen to me. Stay still. Don't touch anything. My phone buzzes with a text, the screen lighting my face ghostly. Property manager, FD at front of building. Electric shutoff initiated. Stay clear of walls. Stay clear of walls. The pounding resumes, weaker now, off tempo. The wall sags visibly, the drywall tearing with a wet, ripping sound that makes my stomach flip. Miguel barrels back in, soaked to the knees. Upstairs, unit's empty, he pants. But the ceiling, there's a hole, like someone cut it. Cut it, I echo. Big enough for a person, he says. That's when it clicks. The schedule, the 2:14 knocks. Someone working when the building sleeps, avoiding notice, cutting access panels, getting stuck. Evan, Lauren says quietly. If he came down from upstairs, the cavity runs. Straight through our wall, I finish. The wall groans again. Louder, the bulge turns into a bow. Sirens scream closer now, right outside. Red light pulses through the windows, strobing the room. Help is here, Lauren calls to Caleb. Just hold on. I can't, he says, voice small. I'm slipping. The drywall tears open another inch. A hand thrusts through, fingers scrabbling blindly, skin raw and bleeding. Everything in me surges forward. Lauren grabs my arm. If you pull. I know, I say. I know about collapse, about leverage, about making it worse. But the hand is there, real, human. The floor beneath us shifts. A subtle but undeniable tilt as water saturates the subfloor. There's a crack from somewhere deep in the wall. Structural, final. Behind us, the front door rattles as someone pounds, firefighters shouting, and the wall gives way with a sound like tearing cloth, opening wide enough now that there's no going back. The hole in the wall is not cinematic. It's ugly. Drywall slumps in wet sheets. Fiberglass insulation sags out like cotton candy that's been in someone's mouth. A strip of torn vapor barrier hangs and flutters with each panicked breath coming from inside. Caleb's hand is still there, fingers hooked around a broken stud, knuckles scraped raw. The skin is pale where it's been pressed against something hard too long. Don't pull, Lauren says, and it's not a suggestion. Her voice has the edge she uses at work when someone is about to make a bad decision with their whole body. I'm already on my knees anyway. Flashlight clamped between my teeth, the beam jittering into the cavity. I see him, not fully, not a face straight on, just the side of his head, dark hair plastered to his temple with sweat and dirty water. A shoulder jammed at an angle that makes my own shoulder ache in sympathy. One arm pinned somewhere behind him, the other reaching out, trembling. He's wedged between studs with the narrowness of someone who's been squeezing through spaces he shouldn't. The cavity is tighter than I imagined, filled with wires stapled along wood. A copper pipe sweating in the beam. The pipe isn't burst, not in a clean way. It's cracked at a joint, water spraying in a thin fan that hits the insulation and turns it into a heavy sponge. Every splash is a timer. Caleb, Lauren says, leaning into the opening, but careful not to put weight on the wall. Look at me if you can. Blink twice if you understand me. His head shifts. I catch a flash of his eye. He blinks once, twice. Good, she says. Good, don't thrash. Your arm, your left arm, can you move your fingers? His hand, the one I can see, flexes weakly. The other pinned doesn't respond. A shout from the hallway. Fire department, anyone inside. The door is still shut. The chain is still on because Lauren snapped it out of reflex when the power went and the door rattled. That's on us. That's on me too. I watched her do it and didn't stop her. Lauren, I say around the flashlight. It comes out muffled. She doesn't look at me, but she reaches back and yanks the chain free one-handed. The door swings open into flashing red light and wet carpet and boots. 2 firefighters surge in, helmets bright in my flashlight beam. One of them immediately scans the room, eyes flicking to the wall opening, the water line on the floor, the soaked baseboard. Back up, the taller one commands. Everyone back. Move away from that wall. We have a person trapped, Lauren says fast. He's inside the cavity. He's conscious, but losing strength. There's water spraying from a cracked joint. Electrical sparks happened before the power went out. The firefighter's gaze sharpens. Name. Caleb, I say. Caleb, can you hear me? The other firefighter calls into the wall, voice loud and anchored. My name's Rios. We're here. Don't move. Caleb makes a sound, half sob, half cough. Where's the source shut off? Rios asks. Under the sink, I say. I closed the unit valve. That may not be enough. The taller firefighter, his name Tape, reads KELLER, keys his radio. Command. We've got a victim trapped in wall cavity. Water intrusion ongoing. Possible compromised structure. Need building main shutoff and ladder company for breach. No sudden saviors. Just procedure fast, practiced, still too slow compared to panic. Keller crouches and shines a stronger light inside. We need room to work, he says. You two out of the unit, now. Lauren's jaw clenches. He's slipping. I understand, Keller says, and his tone is not unkind. It's the tone of someone who has decided what has to happen. But if this wall collapses on all of you, we have more patience and less access. Out. I hesitate, stupidly, like leaving means abandoning. Rios catches my eye. We've got him, he says. Help us by giving us space. Lauren backs toward the doorway, hands shaking now that she has permission to be human again. I follow, feet sliding on the wet floor. My socks are soaked. Cold has crept up into my calves. In the hallway, Miguel is pressed against the opposite wall, phone in his hand, face drained. Janice's door is cracked open. Her eyes are huge. What is it? She whispers. Flood, Miguel says, voice thin. A guy in the wall. Janice makes a sound like a laugh that doesn't know how to be a laugh. Inside the apartment, the firefighters work in tight, efficient bursts. Keller brings in a small pry bar and starts removing drywall in controlled strips, not ripping, not yanking, cutting with a knife, pulling away wet material, exposing studs, wires, the copper pipe with its hissing spray. Each cut reveals more of the cavity, more mess, more danger. Caleb's breathing turns ragged. It's tight, he gasps. Stay with me, Rio says. You're doing good, don't push. Keller's gloved hands move to Caleb's shoulder, testing how he's wedged. He stops immediately when Caleb cries out. Pinned, Keller mutters. He looks at the studs. He's stuck on a nail plate or a staple line. We need to widen and relieve pressure. Another firefighter arrives. She, shorter, stocky, carrying a roll of plastic sheeting and a small saw. She lays plastic down like they're in surgery. It's a weird, grounding detail. Someone's still caring about floors while a man is stuck in a wall. The water keeps spraying. A radio squawks. Main shutoff located. 2 minutes. 2 minutes is an eternity when you can hear someone drowning in shallow air. Caleb starts to cough harder. Wet coughs, like he's aspirated something. His head lolls. Lauren steps forward involuntarily, and I grab her elbow, not hard, just enough to remind her she can't jump into that. This is what you do, I whisper. You handle emergencies. You don't. She snaps her gaze to me. Her eyes are glossy. I'm not handling it, she whispers back. I'm standing here while he. A sharp crack interrupts us, not the earlier groan. This is wood, a stud shifting under pressure. Keller freezes. Everyone freezes. For half a second, Everything is still except the spray of water and Caleb's wheezing. Keller exhales. "Okay," he says. "Okay, we're committed now." Point of no return. The walls already opened. The structures already compromised. There is no wait for morning anymore. She wedges a temporary brace, 2x4 jammed between floor and ceiling, tensioned. Rios keeps one hand on Caleb's chest through the opening, monitoring his breath like it's a dial he can adjust with willpower. Keller makes another careful cut. Drywall peels away, revealing the pin. A long metal strap screwed across the studs, probably there to protect wiring. Caleb's jacket is snagged on it. More than that, his shoulder is wedged just below it, the strap biting into him like a clamp. "Caleb," Keller says, voice close and calm. "This is going to hurt. I need you not to fight me." "I can't," Caleb's voice breaks. "I can't feel my arm." "We're going to get you out," Keller says. "But your shoulder's pinned. I'm going to move you. You may hear popping. That's okay. Don't twist." Lauren flinches at that. I do too. No one says the other possibilities out loud. Keller signals she. She positions the saw at the metal strap. The blade winds to life, loud in the small space, vibrating through the floorboards. Lauren's hand clamps around mine without thinking. Her palm is cold and damp. "Turn off," Rio starts, but the saw is already cutting. She keeps it steady, controlled, sparks minimal because the power's out and the tool is battery-driven. A realistic mercy. The strap gives with a sharp, metallic snap. Caleb screams. His body jerks. The brace shifts. The floor trembles. Keller shouts, "Hold him, hold him." Rios braces Caleb's torso with both arms. Keller reaches in, hands under Caleb's armpits, and pulls not hard, not fast, just firm, incremental, like easing a couch through a doorway. Caleb's pinned arm drags. His face finally turns toward the opening, and I see him fully. Late 20s or early 30s, skin gray with shock, lips cracked, eyes wide and unfocused. There's blood at his shoulder where the strap bit. His left arm hangs wrong, the shoulder line uneven. A wet, ripping sound. Insulation tearing away. Another foot of him slides free. Then the pipe joint fails completely. A sudden, violent surge of water blasts into the cavity, hammering the remaining drywall. The spray becomes a stream. The wall shudders. The brace bows. Keller swears, "Now, now." They pull together, Rios and Keller. One coordinated heave. Caleb's body pops free into the room and collapses onto the plastic sheeting in a heap of limbs and wet clothes. His left arm is limp. His breathing is a harsh rattle, and the wall, relieved of his weight, gives up anyway. It caves inward with a wet crash, drywall and insulation, and splintered wood falling into the cavity like a mouth closing. Water pours through the new gap, flooding the plastic, spilling onto the hardwood. For a second, I can't move. I can only stare at the place where a person had been, now just debris and rushing water. "Move," she barks, and I stumble backward with Lauren, barely missing a chunk of soggy drywall that slaps the floor where we were. Rios is already on Caleb, checking airway, shouting for a backboard. Keller radios again, voice clipped, urgent. Victim extricated, wall collapse, continuing water flow. Need shut off now. From downstairs, a dull thunk reverberates like a valve closing with force. The water stream falters. It coughs. It slows to a heavy drip. Silence returns in uneven pieces. Caleb lies on the plastic, shaking, eyes fluttering. His lips move. Lauren drops to her knees beside him before anyone can stop her, hands hovering, not touching without permission. "Caleb," she says softly. "Hey, you're out, you're out." His eyes find hers. Tears track clean lines through grime on his face. "I didn't," he whispers. "I didn't mean." His voice breaks into a cough that turns into a sob. The firefighters load him onto the board, strap him down. As they lift, his left shoulder shifts and he cries out again. Pain cutting through the adrenaline haze like a blade. Cost, no neat rescue, no clean ending, just the ugly math of tissue and bone. As they carry him out, Keller glances at us. "You did the right thing by calling," he says, and it sounds like something he tells people to keep them from unraveling later. Lauren doesn't answer. She's staring at the torn wall, at the cavity that runs dark and narrow between studs, at the place where the knocks came from. In the wreckage, my phone, still recording, sits on the floor, screen spattered with water. The timestamp glows on the video, 2:14 a.m., and in the drip of the dying leak, I can still hear the echo of that first measured pattern. Like a metronome, I'll never stop anticipating. The apartment smells like a wet hardware store. That's the first thing that hits me when we're allowed back in hours later, after the water's off, after the firefighters have gone, after a city inspector with tired eyes, and a clipboard has taped a red notice to our door that says unsafe to occupy, temporarily in block letters that don't feel temporary at all. Wet wood, dust, burnt plastic, lemon cleaner still trying. It's nearly morning. The sky outside the blinds has gone that washed out gray that makes everything look unfinished. Our living room is unrecognizable. Plastic sheeting wrinkled and torn, insulation clumped like seaweed, the wall a ragged mouth opening into darkness. You can see straight through to the studs now, to the copper pipe that drips at a careful, guilty pace into a bucket. Someone set there without asking us. Lauren stands in the doorway with her arms folded tight across her chest, like she's holding herself together. She hasn't said much since the paramedics loaded Caleb into the ambulance. She rode with him to the hospital while I gave statements, short ones, factual ones, the kind that feel safer because they don't ask you to describe how your hands shook. Caleb survived the night. That's the headline. Dislocated shoulder, nerve damage they're not ready to predict yet, a mild case of aspiration pneumonia. He'll be in the hospital for a few days, maybe longer. I know this because Lauren told me in the car, voice flat, eyes on the road. He kept apologizing, she said, like that explained anything. The inspector clears his throat. "You folks can grab essentials," he says, gesturing vaguely. "But you're not staying here tonight or tomorrow. Landlords arranging alternative housing. Alternative housing. It sounds like a euphemism for somewhere you don't want to be. I walk carefully across the warped hardwood to the bedroom. The headboard wall is intact, but I can't look at it the same way. It feels thinner now, like a suggestion instead of a boundary. I grab clothes without much thought. My hands keep expecting resistance, something pulling back from the wall, some last-minute knock. But there's only silence and the drip in the living room. On the nightstand, my phone sits where I dropped it. The battery is full. I don't remember plugging it in. I open the video I recorded. I don't know why. Maybe to make it real again, to prove to myself that I didn't invent it. The audio is a mess of rushing water and muffled voices, but at the start, clear as anything, I hear the knocks. Measured, intentional. Lauren watches from the doorway. "You don't have to listen to that," she says. I know. I stop the video anyway. Downstairs, Miguel is sitting on the stoop in a blanket someone gave him, shoes dangling from one hand. He looks up when we come out. "They say my place is a mess," he says, a weak attempt at humor. "Like yours." Janice stands a few feet away, talking animatedly to a friend on her phone. "Yes, inside the wall," she's saying. "I told you this building was strange." Miguel lowers his voice. "They took him away fast," he says. "You think he was, you know." I know what he means. Unauthorized trespassing. Worse. "I don't know," I say, and it's the truth. We load our bags into the back of a rideshare because our car is blocked in by emergency vehicles. The driver doesn't ask questions. He just wrinkles his nose at the damp smell and turns the radio up a little too loud. The hotel the landlord books us into is aggressively normal. Beige walls, overly clean carpet, a lobby that smells like coffee and disinfectant. The clerk smiles like nothing in the world has ever gone wrong at 2:14 a.m. In the room, Lauren sits on the edge of the bed and takes off her shoes. Her hands are still shaking. She presses them together, palms flat, like she's trying to warm them. "I keep thinking about his arm," she says suddenly. "The way it moved." I sit beside her. The mattress sinks too much in the middle. "You didn't cause that." "I know," she says, then quieter. "I know that. But knowing it doesn't stop the image. Neither does sleep." When it finally comes, it's shallow and full of interruptions, sirens outside, doors slamming in the hallway, the ice machine roaring to life at the worst possible moment. I wake up convinced I've heard it again, heart racing, only to realize it's just the elevator dinging. Morning brings logistics, insurance calls, emails from Mark the landlord, full of apologies and exclamation points, and phrases like working closely with the city. A voicemail from a detective who wants to clarify a few details about access points and timelines. Lauren answers that call. I listen to her side of it, to the way she stays precise, grounded. She gives times. She gives locations. She doesn't speculate. When she hangs up, she rubs her face. "They found tools in the upstairs ceiling," she says. "Cut panels. Looks like he'd been going in and out for weeks." "Why'd?" I ask. She shrugs. "They're still figuring that out." That's the thing that sticks with me. The weeks. The idea that while we were cooking dinner, while Lauren was on her laptop, and I was half watching something forgettable. There was a man in the walls, measuring time, waiting for quiet, knocking softly, maybe to check if anyone was awake. The official story comes together over the next few days. Caleb wasn't a maintenance worker. He wasn't authorized. He'd done some contracting work in the past, enough to know where to cut, where to move. He claimed he was trying to fix a leak he'd noticed earlier, trying to prevent damage. The building's insurer disputes that. The landlord's lawyer phrases everything carefully. Caleb doesn't press charges. Neither do we. It all slides into a gray zone of liability and intent that no one seems eager to stare at too long. We don't move back into the apartment. Mark offers a different unit in the building once repairs are done. Lauren shakes her head without hesitation. I back her up before my instinct to be agreeable can kick in. We find a new place a month later, newer construction, thicker walls. The first night there, I lie awake cataloging sounds like a hobby. The hum of the fridge, the distant traffic, the building settling. When 2:14 comes and goes without incident, I don't feel relief so much as suspicion. Lauren starts sleeping through the night again before I do. Sometimes, when she's brushing her teeth, she catches me standing too close to the wall, listening. She doesn't comment. She just reaches out and rests her hand on my back, grounding me. We don't talk about Caleb much. When we do, it's in the past tense with facts. He's in physical therapy. His arm is improving slowly. He moved back in with his sister. Life fills back in around the hole. But every so often, when a hotel room is too quiet, when a new apartment creaks in an unfamiliar way, I think about the timing, about how precise it was, how human. And once, months later, when we're visiting a friend in another old building, I hear a knock from inside a wall, just one, probably a pipe, definitely explainable. My body reacts before my brain can catch up. I check the time on my phone. It isn't 2:14. I still don't relax. That's tonight's story. If it gives you chills, make sure to like, subscribe to Mia Horror Stories, and tap the bell so you never miss what's coming next. And if you're still brave enough, there are more dark tales waiting for you right here on the channel. Go watch another if you dare.